Welcome to Excellence Through Execution, where ambition meets expertise. Hosted by Jason Weseman, this podcast dives into the world of business, exploring the stories of success and the lessons of failure through engaging discussions. Each episode, Jason brings insights from the forefront of business strategy and leadership. Get ready to discover the keys to business excellence.
Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of the Excellence Through Execution podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jason Weseman, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Mark Bealin, founder and CEO of SearchLab in Chicago. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, really cool. You're in the Chicago area. Love it down there. Really excited to learn more about you and your business. Why don't you kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, I am an entrepreneur. I've started two agencies now. SearchLab Digital is my current one. You're talking to me the day before our anniversary. So March 1, 2017, we started. So I'm celebrating 8 years.
8 years. Wow. Well, congratulations, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And we've made it work. And so the agency's grown very quickly. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list for the last 3 years, and we'll almost for sure be on it next year.
Love it.
And it's been a wonderful journey. I mean, I really have enjoyed it. We have about just under 50 employees. We may even have 50 employees at this point, 50 teammates, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I'm loving it. I'm excited for the future. And we've got really two service offerings that have allowed us to go very fast. So we specialize in something called local SEO and PPC. So we help primarily like people appear more prominently on Google, either by paying for it or by appearing more effectively in the free organic section. And then we have this other niche, which is we specialize in majority of my clients are car dealerships at this point. So we really know that space very well. And, tier 3 car dealerships make up the majority of my clients at this point.
So what does SearchLab do for the car dealerships or any of your clients?
So the main thing would be, we're going to try and help you appear more prominently in local searches. So if I'm looking for, like a Jeep dealership near me, I want my client to beat somebody else's client. And so it's a zero-sum game. It's like if you're up, somebody else has to be down. And so it's a competitive landscape. More people, it would shock you some of the stats that Google produces about car dealerships alone. They do average person will do 30 searches before they buy a car. Yeah. And so we want to interact with them at every stage of that. And if we can have them arrive on our site, we can do things like remarketing. If you've experienced in your own life where you will go to a website and then that product starts to follow you around in the wide web, we do those sorts of tricks. And so our team we've got a really strong team. We really understand that vertical well. And more than anything, we're just trying to drive visitors to their, the old line is we make your phone ring and your door swing. We just want to either drive more phone calls or people into their stores. So the interesting thing is what I don't do. So I don't do SEO for e-commerce stores or publishers or something like that. So we've made a conscious decision not to do that. My clients are brick and mortar businesses or businesses that serve a specific geographic area. Think of the trades. And so because we really know that space, so to the extent that people know about SEO, they know that there's this algorithm that Google has. It's really more accurate to say they're algorithms, plural. And we're specialists in one of those, the local algorithm. So when Google detects that you have local intent in your search, they'll run it through this local algorithm. And our team just complete nerds about this algorithm. And we create conference presentations and thought leadership materials. And, we're like Google product. And my COO is a Google product expert and the only person who's a Google product expert in automotive. And so we can get really down in the weeds about this kind of SEO. And then we're able to apply it to car dealerships pretty well.
So why did you make that conscious decision not to do publishers, not to do e-commerce stuff? What was the thought process there?
So it was an evolution, right? So when I started SearchLab, we did everything. We did website development. We did social media marketing. I set up a client's email one time. There's still my client to this day who I was in a meeting with him. And he said, Mark, if I asked you to reshingle my roof, you'd say yes. Because whatever paid money, I would do it.
Of course I would.
Yeah. And so that went well. I mean, that we grew. I mean, we had a lot of revenue. After a while, I needed to start to grow up. Businesses have these phases, right? So we had to grow out of our infancy.
Yep.
And we were just looking at it, and coaches are really great. So I had a coach who helped me kind of see the forest from the trees and said, like, look, you got all these clients, they're driving you crazy. You're not making any money on them. You know, you're like, your team hates it. You're not even doing that great of work. Your passion's not there. Like, I don't want to do web development. I have no passion for it. Like, it's just, it was a way to get the SEO business. And so you started to look, okay, what are our best performing campaigns that we can make case studies and compelling marketing content about? They're all local SEO campaigns. What is our team most passionate about? Their local SEO campaigns. Okay. And so why don't we just start to really focus on that? And what I found that was interesting, Jason, was like, once I did that, then I became more interesting as a personal brand, because I had a I was an expert in something, you know.
Sure.
When I was a generalist, it's not that interesting. Like, I know a little bit about a lot of things. Like, nobody wants to invite that guy to a conference. So when I became an expert in something, the invitation started to come, and ultimately we started to hire people who were even bigger experts than me, and it took on a life of its own.
Yeah, the riches are in the niches.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically like an evolution of a service business. You know, it's interesting.
What's the secret sauce of SEO? You know, everybody hears SEO, everybody hears all these algorithms. How do you? I'm not saying anything proprietary or anything like that, but like, what's the process to make sure that your search beats out the other guy's search?
Yeah, and there's how much time do you have? Kind of it's the answer, but like, to make it really simple, you're going to do some things on a website that are just best practices. You want to put keywords in the right places on the website. You want to make sure you've done some research to make sure those keywords are the right keywords. In our case, like, we have there's like so much data on car dealerships that we can do that more rapidly, more quickly than other people could.
Sure.
And so we're gonna do a bunch of stuff to the website itself, and then Google has things that, like, we're gonna do a lot of things that are not on the website. And so one of the most common ones is called Google Business. It's had many names. Current name is Google Business Profile, formerly known as Google My Business, formerly known as Google Places. Google likes nothing more than renaming things, but Google Business Profile is this really important thing. So if you ever wonder how, when you do a map search, how they get all those icons, it's because a company has set up a Google Business Profile, or Google set one up for them.
Yeah.
And you can do things to really optimize that. Also, if you search for a brand, on the right side, you'll usually see what's called like a knowledge panel. So they'll have pertinent information about a website. We really geek out on Google Business Profiles. We want to make sure that we fill out all the fields. We have the right category selected. We seed and answer Q&A. We respond to reviews, and we make sure that we, as a consulting partner, that we're helping them get more really positive reviews. So there's a certain amount of this, which is, when you get into competitiveness, you're working with personal injury attorneys, you're working with Ford dealerships in Dallas, like we do. There's a certain amount of this, which is, it's everybody kind of knows what I just told you, right? Like that's table stakes. And then where the black belts fight a little bit, like where it gets to be interesting, is you want third-party websites to link to your website. And so, and the more localized those are, the better for us. And so if it's, I always say, like, I think indirectly SearchLab probably sponsors more church picnics, robotics clubs, little leagues than anybody on planet Earth, because we're always encouraging our clients to, like, sponsor things, be a participant in your local community. And really what we're after is this link pointing from those to our client's website, which is very different than an enterprise client would approach this differently. They would want, like, publications to link to them. We want local businesses to link to our clients. So that, where I think we really compete with other, like I said, black belts, is on links, and I would say on reviews. Those two things. So if you have positive sentiment from your customers, that matters. If you have more reviews and more like really 5-star reviews, that goes a long way.
Got it. Well, thank you for all you do for the Little Leagues. I appreciate that. Well, take yourself back, either when you started your first agency or this one, kind of what inspired you to do your own thing? What inspired you to start your own business? What was that spark that said, it's time to do something?
There's kind of 2 stories. So I've started 2 agencies.
Yep.
And the first one, I don't know if like you follow the stock market very well, but like in February of 2009, that's when I started my first agency.
Nice. Perfect time.
That was like one of the low points. That story is interesting. So it was my first real job out of college. I was a volunteer teacher and a coach for a while, but my first real job out of college was at a company called Local Launch. And Local Launch was where I learned how to do this stuff. And I was doing well. I was getting promoted and stuff like that. And, what the problem was that Local Launch was owned by R.H. Donnelly, who makes the Yellow Pages. Mm-hmm. So this is the Great Recession. And the day I started, that stock traded at $76 per share. The day I left, that stock traded at 39 cents a share.
Beautiful.
It was taken out of the New York Stock Exchange. We got an email that was like, this is no big deal. We got taken out of the New York Stock Exchange. You're like, this doesn't sound good. So the short story is I got into a department at Local Launch that was the one real jewel in that company. Yeah. Profitable. We were really able to do interesting work. These were clients who were spending more money. They call it premium services. And I got to really experiment and figure out how to be, at that point, a PPC expert and an SEO expert. I learned everything there. So what ultimately happened is they were imploding. Everything was going, and I was going to lose my job or I couldn't move. But I was like, my friend was in charge of calling all the premium services clients and telling them, we're no longer going to service you. Like this is going. The way he told it was like he called the first one and then he goes, do you have a job after this? I was like, I don't have a job after this. Well, let's just take premium services like that, make that a company. So I actually had the benefit of never having a zero paycheck. Like I went from there, the first month I had some money coming in, and we didn't get all of those clients, but we got enough to make it work. So that was my first one. Like the more interesting story actually is my second one, which is, I had 8 years at that first agency, 3 good years and 5 other years. So it's
there's 8 years there.
Yeah, there's 8 years, but only 3 good ones, I would say. And then what really started to happen is the story of like me growing up. I was 25 when I started that. Then I got married. Then I had my first daughter. And I'm like, we're not moving fast enough. We're not growing fast enough. Conflict started to happen with partners. And the kids were the driver, So my wife became pregnant with our second child. And then SearchLab became my moonlighting gig. It was what I did on nights and weekends. I started it I think we incorporated in June 2016. Okay. Even though I burned the boats March 1st of 2017, like I said. So the interesting story is I gave notice to my partner that I'm out, and like there was no non-compete. We didn't have a very grown-up operating agreement, which might be a good thing for your listeners to do if they have partners.
Yeah.
I was out and it's a big day. And then I walked in my house and my wife's water broke. So I gave notice and had my second kid within 24 hours.
Great day.
Yeah. So it was a great day. And so, but yeah, being like a dad was one of the main things to make me want to be in control of my own destiny. And I was frustrated with partners, and I think they were really good people. It was just like, we had different visions for what we wanted to do with the thing.
Sure. I mean, that's usually what it is, right? It's at some point you have to say, it's time for me to fly, as REO Speedwagon says.
Exactly. That's good.
So you've been running a couple businesses for a long time now. What are some common misconceptions that people have about running a business, about being the boss, besides the fact that everybody thinks you're a millionaire on day one?
Yeah, that's a big one. There's a lot. That's a big one that everybody thinks like everyone thinks that the business is more profitable than it probably really is and all that stuff. Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs too. So this is not just from me, but from witnessing other people.
Sure.
Is, you're not starting, you can easily start a job, and that's different than starting a business.
Yep.
Those are very different to me. And especially in professional services, one of the things I really had to learn was I'm starting a business. That means I'm going to have other people. It's an asset, and I'm going to have other people do a lot of the work, and I'm going to risk my own capital, but I don't aspire anymore to be the top SEO in the world. I mean, there was a time where I did, but I'm like, I want to run a business. I don't want to start a job. And so when that kind of unlocked, good things started to happen. And it's an unbelievable amount of humility, it took a lot of humility to just be like, I want people who are better at this than me. And my passion is really creating high performance teams and doing things at scale. And so firing myself from every role in the business and really becoming the visionary and the person who's really driving the mission of the company was a big change for me. And I think a lot of people, one of the biggest misconceptions, people think they have to be really good at the thing that they're doing. And I think that can be, I don't want to start a job. I want to start a company.
Yeah, I think you're totally right on that. I think you don't have to be awesome at what you're doing, because then you probably want to drive it too much. You really want to bring on experts and let them run the company while you move forward.
Exactly right. Yep.
So you got kids, how do you maintain the work-life balance between, I know you live close to your office, which helps. How do you maintain that balance? How do you be a father and a business owner?
Yeah, good days and bad days, right? So there's agency life's really hard too. So there's a lot of time. What I'm trying to have like an abundance of, like a really very abundant life. And so not only do I have 3 kids, I have a business, I coach varsity football. I'm involved in a number of boards. I'm like EO Chicago, which is an entrepreneurs group in Chicago. I think they have I know they have a chapter in Wisconsin that's newish. I'm very involved in the executive board of that. Takes up a lot of my time too. And I like to travel and have fun and do all these things. So how do you do all that? One of the things is I'm pretty unapologetic about just saying, this is my time. Like my calendar becomes, this is my time. You're telling me I'm feeling like a phony because this week has been terrible. I had so much on my calendar, but in my good days, I'm just like, this is my time, and I'm unapologetic about it. And it's unwavering, right?
Yeah, you have to be, right?
If I took every meeting or did every thing that I could, I mean, I'd be, I just wouldn't be able to do the things I'm passionate about. And the other things are just really tactical. I want to make sure that I have on my calendar every year some adventure, like something that's going to really, I will remember what I like. So this year is 2025. I'm going to do rim to rim to rim of the Grand Canyon. I'm going to go walk down, across, and up. I'm doing it with a really good buddy of mine. Somebody asked me, what's going to happen? What was your 2025 like 10 years from now? I'll be like, that was the year I did rim to rim. Yep. I'm going to remember that. And I'm not going to like have my phone with me when I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. And I'm training for it. And it's everything. So just putting that on the calendar is very, very helpful, because I want to make sure every year I've got one big mission, one big thing. They call it Masogi. And I'm going to have adventures with my kids, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And then work fills in the blanks, right? Those are the rest of the time. But if I don't get, what comes first is candidly kind of the selfish, my time, and I'm unwavering about it and unapologetic. And then work fills in the blanks. Yeah.
That's awesome. You have to do it, right? You can't, there's always something else to do at work if you wanted to.
Yeah. No
Well,
question.
take yourself, so we got to this point. Let's take a look forward. Can you offer a glimpse into some of your future plans and goals for your organization, for SearchLab?
Yeah, we're at an interesting point now. So we've grown really quickly, and it becomes difficult now to get to that next level with just 2 service offerings.
Yeah.
So if we want to move up market and start to service like mid-market clients or even enterprise clients, they're not that interested in working with a company like mine, because we're we don't have enough service offerings. We can't solve enough problems for them. So we're interested in launching new services, and we're particularly interested in acquiring agencies that are offering complementary services to what we do. So, I work very closely with my leadership team. I have somebody who's like the head of acquisitions for us now, who's putting everything together for us. And this is my big, I need to make an acquisition this year to feel good about things, that we're trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
What that would allow us to do is offer my existing clients more services, solve more problems for them, and thereby become more sticky. Like, even if they're, if this one service isn't going great, but 3 others are going great, are you really going to cancel service because we're involved in so much? And I'll cut you some slack. The other thing is, over a long enough period of time, I can begin to build those services horizontally, where a Fortune 500 or even just a really solid mid-market company would say, you solve all the problems I need. Like, that's good. We can work with you. And so I'm busy every day, like, talking to prospective sellers, people who want to sell their business to SearchLab.
Yep.
That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm really excited about it right now. I love working with my team. I love everything about this, but right now what's really got me excited is pursuit of an acquisition.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that, man.
Thank you.
Well, Mark, this has been great. You got a great story, great company. Let me get you out of here on this. Take yourself back to when your job was leaving and you had to start your own thing. What advice would you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs, people that are just starting out and want to do their own gig?
It's funny. I have a story. So, like, I go teach at DePaul from time to time. Like, I'm like an adjunct. Like, they bring me in. I have no regular schedule. I come in periodically.
Yeah. The
kids will ask me that question. Like, what advice would you have for an entrepreneur? And I tell them, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, it's not like the money's not there. You think you're going to have a bunch of freedom, and you maybe won't. And the trick of that line is, the real ones won't care. The real ones will do it anyway.
Yeah.
So the more you tell me no, or I can't do something, it gets me excited. So I like the challenge. The real ones will hear me say that and go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's the way that I do it, because it's too hard of life. If you don't have incredible persistence and resilience, just sell some freaking software or something like that. It's easier. Sell life insurance. I don't care. Like, there's way better ways to make a lot of money. Yeah. And have a lot of freedom than this. It's a all-consuming thing. And if you're not willing to, like, really get your teeth kicked in and keep going, just don't do it. It's not for everybody, and it's not for most people. And so my number one advice is, chances are you're not an entrepreneur. Like, you're not made out to do this, and you're going to go down a journey of misery and difficulty, and you're up and you're down with your finances and all this stuff. And so I always tell people, like, just don't do it, and the real ones won't listen to me.
Yeah.
That's how
you're episode 54. That's probably the best advice that I've ever gotten from an entrepreneur, and probably the first time I said don't do it, but it's probably the best advice you could have. They say entrepreneurship is the only role where you go from doing a 40-hour job to an 80-hour job a week.
Yeah. And it's like, listen, I tell people all the time, like, they'll be like, hey, what's your advice for my business? I'll be like, you got to break down. You got to take a risk. You got to do this thing. And you know what? You're going to take that risk, and there's a worse than 50-50 chance that it's going to go bad.
Yep.
Do you like that kind of life? Like, do you like that? If you don't like that kind of life where it's so uncertain, it is very good for opportunistic people. And you better be resilient and persistent, because it will challenge you. And so I say, like, the real ones won't listen to me. So I don't care. Like, that's the way I look at it.
Perfect. Well, Mark, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. It was really great meeting you, hearing your story. You got a good one.
Oh, anytime. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Check him out at searchlabdigital.com. That wraps up this episode of Excellence Through Execution. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.